Hey everybody, David Starr here with another edition of On Guitars. Almost every week, month, often, somebody comes into the store and they talk about the guitar they learned on. So much of playing a musical instrument, the one you start on is certainly one you remember, whether it's you saved up the money to do it by mowing lawns or babysitting, or your mom and dad saw some promise and got you lessons and took you down to the music store and made payments on one for a year before you got to take it home. Any number of things. Maybe a relative played with some famous country act back in the day and willed you your first guitar. Maybe you found it at a garage sale. Whatever. But I hear that sort of anecdote a lot, and that's part of what we're doing here, is telling stories about these guitars. One brand that always comes up at least once a month with people talking about that sort of stuff is Harmony. Harmony guitars were, I first came to know them for their arch top, guitars, jazz style guitars, and one of the very first ones we had around the house, because my brother and I both played in bands. He was older and a better guitar player. I was a drummer at that time as a kid. But there was a guitar around, and it wasn't in very good shape. And it was an old Harmony arch top. Don't know the model. Doesn't matter. But I painted it. And I don't remember what color, but I painted it with a flat finish paint of some sort that we had around the house. Terrible idea. I still see some of that stuff from time to time. People bring them in. Anyway, I wanted to talk just real quick about one that's kind of been hanging around the store for a little bit. And I don't know why, because it's a great guitar and somebody ought to take it home. It's a Harmony Sovereign, and it's there are a number of different Sovereign models and body shapes. This one I forgot to look it up before we started rolling here, but I would say it's like an OM or almost a triple O body shape. Spruce top, mahogany back and sides, mahogany neck, 3 on a side, 3 on a plate, Clouson tuners. This guitar, best we can tell, is a 1967-ish model. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell on these. One of the things you'll always hear when people talk about their Harmony guitars is how hard they were to play. They had great big necks. This one has a pretty big neck, but it's not uncomfortable. It's just, substantial. But one of the things you'll hear is the necks were big and that the action was really high, and inevitably followed with, "It's a wonder any of us learned how to play the guitar." And that's sort of true, because some of those early guitars, quality control wasn't the best. You could buy Harmony guitars in places like Western Auto or Otasco, which was, a tire and supply place. And Harmony made guitars for other people. You saw in that same sort of basket full of guitars, you saw Stella and Harmony and Airline and Silvertone, and all those guitars sort of fell into that category. This particular guitar is a way better guitar than any Harmony I've ever owned, and kind of a top-of-the-line instrument for that model line. It's got binding on the front and back, binding on the neck. It's got the black headstock with a really nice graphic, the Harmony Sovereign graphic. The other thing I forgot to look into, and I will do that and follow up, is whether or not this is the original bridge. Should have looked that up. but I didn't. Whatever was on this, I don't know if this was the original one. It's pretty cool because it doesn't have any bridge pins. It's a string through like a Takamine or a Breedlove. A number of guitar makers adopted that, so you don't have bridge pins to keep up with. I'm sure there's an argument in both directions as to whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing from a standpoint of playability and tone and all that. I won't get into that. I just know this particular one has a fairly substantial bridge that strings through, and I will figure out if that's original or not. Couldn't get that done this morning for whatever reason. Great guitar, great sounding guitar, and this one, unlike a lot of Stellas and Harmonies and things that we were just talking about, it plays really well. It's a little boxy sounding. I mean, it sounds like an inexpensive guitar, but really, really a nice player, and somebody ought to have this guitar. It belongs in somebody's house. This is one of the first in a series of guitars I'm going to just grab off the wall down in the store and talk about in upcoming episodes. A lot of these episodes have been about guitars I've collected or kind of taken for myself over the years, but I want to talk about some stuff that's more readily available and get out of my own loft, as it were, and talk about some of those. 1967 Harmony Sovereign. Somebody ought to own this guitar. Hey, if you like what you see, give us a big thumbs up. Hit that little notify button and you'll get notified of new episodes. And I'd say just keep playing the guitar. We need it.